If you are preparing for civil services exam and are a beginner, then this video is for you. Hey guys, I'm Shailendra Singh and I welcome you all to UPSC Decoded. Today, in this session, I am going to walk you through to what is the eligibility criteria of UPSC CSE, what is the pattern like, and what is the syllabus in just 10 minutes. So check out the video. Now, the first thing that we need to be aware about the civil services exam, if you are a beginner, is the eligibility criteria, whether you are eligible for this exam or not. If you have attained the age of 21 years, then you become eligible to write the exam, subject to a maximum age cap in each of the respective categories. For example, for general category aspirants, it is 32 years and the maximum number of attempts is 6. For OBC candidates, it is 35 years, further relaxation of 3 years, and up to a maximum number of attempts, which is 9. For SC and ST candidates, it is 37 years, and there is no maximum number of attempts. And then we have certain other categories like disabled defense services personnel, ex-servicemen, persons with benchmark disabilities, and they have their own eligibility criteria. To know more about the specific eligibility criteria for persons with benchmark disability, the parameters, you can check out the UPSC CSE notification, the latest one in 2021, which was released recently, and you will know what are the basic parameters, whether you fit the bill or not. Now let's come to the stages of UPSC CSE. What are the various hurdles that you'll have to cross in order to become an IAS officer? The first hurdle is the CSE prelims, and it will be an objective type paper wherein we'll have to tick mark the right answers and fill up this OMR sheet. The second hurdle is UPSC CSE mains, which is a descriptive type in which you'll have to write sheets and sheets of papers. A couple of papers we will see what are those, and then finally, if you are able to navigate through this as well, then you will have this personal interview test. So it will be like this personal interaction with the board and panel, and then you will have to show your mettle as a potential civil services officer. So let's check out each of these stages one by one, guys. The first stage is the CSE prelims exam, which is comprised of two parts. One is the general studies paper, that is paper 1, which is conducted in the morning shift, that is from 9:30 to 11:30. And then after a break in the afternoon, we have the very same day civil services aptitude test, the CSAT paper, that is paper 2. And for each of these papers, you will be getting 2 hours, and the number of marks, maximum number of marks are 200 each for each of these papers. Now, the determinant over here is going to be the first paper, which is paper 1, because it is this paper which is going to decide whether you are able to make the cut or not, because here on the basis of this paper UPSC does come out with this cutoff list, and so it is very important you clear the cutoff. But at the same time, the importance of the second paper CSAT is also increasing, because even though it is just a qualifying paper, just 33% we have to achieve, but then over the last 3-4 years we have seen that the aspirants are struggling with regard to the time management in CSAT and the nature of questions, and UPSC is deliberately trying to make it more difficult because a lot of students used to take it for granted and wouldn't prepare it. So UPSC is going to test your skills in CSAT paper even harder in the coming years, so you have to watch out for that. That we will decide, that we will talk about later. But first, let's check out what are the various topics that are contained in the first paper that you have to prepare for paper 1. So these are the topics that you can see. In fact, we don't have to go through them like one by one. Just about everything under the sun is what the syllabus for paper 1 is, right from science and technology, history, geography, polity, constitution, governance, any schemes and policies, environment, climate change, biodiversity, just about everything is your syllabus, and accordingly you'll have to prepare. So you'll have to focus on the current affairs part, because UPSC does give a lot of current affairs based questions. So what has been seen over the last couple of years is that even the questions from geography and history, apparently these are the so-called static subjects, they are also being asked in the context of the latest developments that we have just witnessed in the current affairs. So they are also being made dynamic. So please make sure that whatever important development is regularly being followed in the newspapers and the media, you are also keeping a track of those events and you are making short notes in your diaries or notebook. That could be physical notebook, that could be electronic notebook. Now let's move on to the syllabus for CSAT paper 2. Now here you will be judged on your comprehension skills. You will be given this passage, or rather number of passages, wherein you'll have to answer on the basis of those paragraphs and the passages. That is one. The second type is your logical reasoning, your analytical ability, your numeracy skills, your basic reasoning, data interpretation, quantitative aptitude. But you don't have to worry about it. Please don't fret, because it's just a very basic level, just class 10 level. So it's not very sort of difficult paper. But for that, yes, you do require practice, because what mistake a lot of aspirants are repeatedly doing is that they are totally ignoring and neglecting the CSAT paper, thinking that they would be able to achieve the requisite qualifying marks, that is 33%. But UPSC has got a hang of it, and UPSC is making this paper increasingly difficult. So a lot of students, they have performed particularly well in paper 1. They are not very sure whether they are going to able to clear CSAT paper, because they feel that they are on the borderline. So please make sure you provide equal attention, or rather specific attention, with regard to the proportion of time that you dedicate to it. So I would suggest personally that it should be 75:25, 75% of the time to your first paper, paper 1 GS paper, and 25% of your time to CSAT paper, because this is also equally important. Now let's move on to the next stage. After you have cleared the first hurdle, that is stage 1, the prelims exam, you have successfully cleared. So apparently out of lakhs of students, aspirants, about 10,000 finally make the cut, depending upon the vacancies each year. So we have the stage 2, which is the CSE mains, and in CSE mains it will be a totally different set of challenges that you'll be presented with, and your further depth would be checked out as a potential civil services officer. And you can see that there are so many papers, in fact 9 papers in all, but 2 papers are just qualifying, just like CSAT paper. So the 2 papers are, one is the English language paper, which is like mandatory for all the aspirants, and number 2 is any Indian language paper. So there you'll have to achieve just 25% of the marks, and that is like pretty easy. So I won't say that it requires a lot of practice as in the case of CSAT, but in this particular one, it's like fairly easy, 25% in English language. As I said, for those students, by the way, who are not very comfortable in English language, yes, they do require practice. Otherwise, if you are comfortable, then you can easily navigate through it. Now let's come to the core sort of agenda, which is the rest of the papers, that is 7 papers, right from your essay paper, which is paper 1, to your GS 1, 2, 3, and your GS 4 also, which is ethics. Like all these comprise the sort of core of your subjects papers, which will be fetching you marks. And at the same time, you will also have to choose an optional for your mains. So you have to prepare in advance. So it's not that after clearing the prelims you are deciding your optionals, because you have to prepare in advance. Optional paper requires in-depth studies, and you'll have to spend a lot of time on that in order to ensure that you get good marks in optionals. Because if you see the pattern over here, guys, there are 7 such papers, and in all there is 1750 marks, out of which are disproportionately huge, that is 500 marks are allotted only for your optional papers. So it can really make your break or your chances if you have sort of prepared well, or if you have not prepared well, depending upon your preparation levels. So you have to ensure that you have to choose your optional very, very wisely after a lot of due deliberation, so that you really stick to it, you enjoy your options, even let's say for the first time you are not able to clear the exam, for the second, third time, then in subsequent attempts you should not lose the passion for your particular option. And then equally important are other subjects, like for example essay is very important. A lot of students take it for granted, and likewise ethics also. So please make sure that apart from the regular GS 1, 2, 3, you are also paying equal attention to your essay and your ethics paper, that is paper 4 also, apart from optional, which is like of course a given that you'll have to work hard a lot in terms of your options. So guys, out of let's say 9,000 to 10,000 candidates, finally around 2,500 to 3,000 candidates depending upon the number of seats, they make it to the next round, which is the personality test. And in the personality test, it is your sort of potential fit with the civil services that will be checked as a potential civil servant, whether you have that aptitude, that knack, that sort of outlook of being the civil servant, of being an IAS officer of India. So that way it will be checked. It's not a technical sort of test, because the technical test is already conducted in the second stage, which is your, and the first stage also, the prelims and mains. But this is more of a general sort of discussion. So it's not that the panel or the board is out there to grill you. They will just have a general discussion. So you should be comfortable in your own skin, and you should be very, very honest about what thoughts you have. And for that, by the way, you should have practiced a bit in advance. You should have gone through those personality mock personality test interviews, so that you are like more comfortable and you phrase your language accordingly. And they will also check you with regard to your attitude, your approach on some of the important developments which are in news. For example, let's say if Kashmir in news, then they would want to check out your views regarding how to tackle with this problem, or let's say any other international or geopolitical problem or challenge, let's say with regard to China or XYZ with regard to US. So they might want to check you out there as to how you go about dealing with a potential challenge. So it's not a sort of a session where you would be grilled, but it will be a session where you have the opportunity to convert it into a blessing in disguise, wherein you are able to maximize your score. Because I have personally seen a lot of aspirants, a lot of candidates who are not able to perform well in the mains in second stage, but in personality test, because of the overall impressive skills that they have, the way they speak and all, they are able to score a sort of higher than average marks, and that really impacts their overall ranking, and that catapults them from somewhere medium ranking candidate to the top. So this is what you have to do, and vice versa. It can also sort of you should dampen your chances in terms of achieving the top services, which is the IAS. Because if your personality test is not very good, if they are not really impressed by you, then it might really sort of negate your chances in achieving the top 3-4 services that you have given preference for. So after you have successfully dealt with your personality test to 275 marks for this, 1750 for your mains, and 275 for your personality test, overall it is 2025 marks, and a merit would be decided, and on the basis of the cutoff you will be declared whether you are selected or not. And then there are these many services, and on the basis of your ranking, on the basis of your overall marks, you would be finally adjudged whatever services you have been allotted, whether you are a civil servant, IAS officer, whether you are an IPS officer, IFS officer, or whatever Indian you see postal services, and there are like so many services. So overall a merit would be prepared, and finally if you are able to make the cut, you become a civil servant. Congratulations. So you are finally selected in the final round, that in the merit after the final round, and when the merit is prepared. So guys, this was the process as to how you can realize your dream of achieving the goal of becoming a civil servant, of an IAS officer or IPS officer, whatever you want to be. So this was all for the day, guys. Thank you so much for watching this lecture. Please subscribe to this channel for more of the upcoming videos that I'm going to come out with on a daily basis. Thank you so much. Keep watching. Bye bye. Take care.